I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. In my last video, talking about Pflugerville drivers being from away, out-of-staters, or off this continent, the way they behave and stuff like that, I just had it done to me. I'd already had some guy in a bronze crew cab, large truck, circling this area several times, lights off, like perhaps in an intimidating. I mean, come on, really? It takes you like 15, 20 minutes to realize that you don't have your lights on, and it's continually circling me. It's Christian brothers over there, whatever. And the moment he gets out of his vehicle and stuff, he pulls up, stops right there, and gets out, reaches in the back. I don't have my glasses on. I'm reaching for my glasses so I can get a look at who's very rapidly about to approach me. And as he approaches, he goes in a what I'd call less than, I should say a trained, pleasant voice. He goes, "What's your name?" He says it kind of flatly, like a cop or something. And as soon as he approaches and gets about there, I go, "I can tell you're not a native Texan, because we don't approach people that way." And then I told him how we do it. We say, "Hello, my name's Kent. May I ask what your name is?" I come from a polite culture. He told me he's from Oklahoma. His name was Roger. And he tried to hand it to me. Actually, I told him I didn't want it because of the chance of being poisoned. And he got was a little tense in his act. Said he's been thinking about me. His wife hadn't. I know that there are a lot of people around here that care about my well-being, but there's also a large faction in this town. He was wearing on his left hand an Israel, blue support rubber band, but then it just freaked me out. I've just not the culture shock thing. I experienced that first when I went to California, and the culture shock of going other places, in other countries, going to Maine. Maine's its own world, very insular, clannish, inbred world. And I don't know what to think. I tried to explain to him. He says, "Well, then you can just throw it away." He actually said at one point in time, "Well, if you don't want it, I know somebody else that'll take it." And then he actually backed off a step and then put it down there, even though he said he knew somebody else he could give it to. Then he really laughed at something I said that wasn't that funny. Then he slapped the fuck out of my broken arm after I'd already told him in just that prior conversation is that, it's because he was kind of wondering what I was doing, I was told him it's because I'm trying to find a surgeon that I can trust. Do I trust somebody to not put on a good act who approaches me that rudely, calls out at a distance of, that's almost 30 feet. He goes, "What's your name?" He says it so flatly, like a cop. I'd go like, "Hey, my name's Kent." I already told you I'd say it. "Hi, my name's Kent." I do it the way was trained to do it in Texas, proper Texas culture. We weren't rich as kids, but we had fucking good manners. My vulgarity only really comes, my mother and father never used vulgarity. I've never heard my father say a vulgar word in his life. No F words, no S words. He didn't even really use the N word, like I've said before, unless he was referring to the common term for Brazil nuts, or for that part of town known as, even by the black folks, as nigger town. We didn't use that kind of language around the table. So I'm thinking, Yeah, I might take a look at it, but Roger, you scare me. You know, I gave you the indication that you could just give me cash. He said, he said, you want some bread? And I said, because it's slang. Bread is money. I was asking, you mean green bread or wheat bread, or what are you talking about? And I'm sorry, he was socially awkward and most off-putting. It was really the tone of his voice. It was like he was demanding to know who I am, like some kind of a cop. I really thought I was dealing with some kind of, you know, I could have good night vision, but I didn't have my glasses on when the guy stopped. So that's about it. Try to be a little more polite to me. I've run into plenty of foreigners like that just gorgeous, smoking hot Chinese lady I spoke to the other day. I think her name was Jenny. She's intelligent, educated, and trained in etiquette and behavior and the conversational arts. Try to be a good person when you're around me, because if not, you know, if you don't mind your P's and Q's and act right, you kind of scare me. I'm afraid you're going to be the next person to, yeah, give me some of that bread with some, was it arsenic in it or cyanide in it that the Jewish Avengers used? Anyway, that's pretty much it. And in regards to the last video, that's the intersection that I was talking about, where a native Texan will stop up here and let in at least one or two cars. One get in there, and the other will go around and nudge in. And there's so many complaints about this intersection by people who are really not from here and don't really realize that that's intersection is actually managed pretty good. And yet, idiots who don't know how to drive keep colliding as they're trying to turn onto the parkway going east. They hit the westbound somebody in the turn lane going on I usually don't actually see it until right after I hear the bang. I turn around, I can see the position of the vehicles right after the bang gets to me. That's a delay of a fraction of a second. But 7:54 seconds. Please. That's waste. It's unlikely I'm going to touch any of that. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to examine it, see if he's a poisoner. I have an excellent nose. And with my glasses off and up close, I still see crystal clear. Y'all have a good night, and please stop stressing me out. I got that PTSD, to tell you the truth. See that umbrella right there? That's the first thing I was going to do. I was about to start jabbing that motherfucker with that. You don't really know me. I'm a tactician. That's what I was doing. Was as he approached, I was getting ready to grab that umbrella and come to my standing height and kill him with it. Trust me, that thing is lethal. That's a good shaft of steel with a really good point on it. That umbrella open is about 48 to 50 inches. That ain't no tiny little umbrella. Just because my hands look big, they are big. Wait a second. What am I talking about? Later. Please stop with he seems to be like a church-going religious. There was a brief discussion of religion stuff, but he was in an awful hurry to dump off and get out of the area. And please remember, when you're fucking with me right here, you're on that camera right there. Okay? It's one of the reasons I like being around this area, is because at least you should know you're on camera. Because over there, in that whole area, there's almost no freaking cameras. Starbucks, the backside of 7-Eleven, the side of Sherwin-Williams, there's really almost no cameras around there. There's dead spots around there where you can do all kind of shit.